Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with our first installment of the Devil's Reign event recap, covering the first month of Marvel's current event storyline, Devil's Reign. Uh, Basically, what the basic premise is. So this spins out. So Devil's Reign spins out of Chip Zdarsky's recent run on Daredevil. Uh, Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, is the mayor of New York, and he has long been a thorn in the side of Daredevil and other New York here based superheroes of late. But anyway, and as he's had so many run-ins with the various costume superheroes, he has banned he has banned superheroes in New York. As I understand it, there was an exception made for Spider-Man as kind of a means of isolating him from the other heroes, but I'm not sure if that carries on or not. Anyway, so our story begins 2 weeks previously in the Mediterranean Sea. The children of the Purple Man are meeting are on a boat. Then fast forward to a week later, where Mayor Fisk encounters Daredevil in New York City, and there's a file at him. The file is apparently the file that Fisk maintained on Daredevil. But anytime that Fisk looks at it's blank. All the pages appear blank. Whatever information Fisk had on Daredevil, he can no longer see it. Included in that is, of course, Daredevil's secret identity, Matt Murdock. But in the present, Mayor Fisk makes his announcement about the new anti-superhero law, referencing events that have occurred previously, including, I think he mentions the fact that basically the recent trouble with the recent symbiote troubles are all because Spider-Man came back from space with a symbiotic costume that he didn't realize was a symbiote, which is true. There's some out on the street stuff talking to among others Tony Stark, as well as the Storm. We also get a report that arrests have begun with Thunderbolts going after Moon Knight. But yeah, basically Fisk's enforcement crew for this is of the Thunderbolts, as it was explained that Fisk owns owns the property name, the Thunderbolts now. But Thunderbolts going after Moon Knight include Electro, the Rhino, and U.S. Agent, as well as a symbiote who I think is Agony, but I could be wrong. We then see Spider-Man and Captain America, Miles Morales, rescue people from a building fire, and the Thunderbolts arrest Miles. And also explain that they're under orders to take Cap in too. But Cap's not having it, and Spider-Man, as well as Daredevil and Daredevil, while Daredevil was briefly in prison, Elektra took on the mantle, and so she's operating as Daredevil. But they go into the sewers and hide out in one of the old Secret Avengers hideouts from Civil War. Government operatives also show up to investigate and secure the anything they find in the Baxter Building. Mr. Fantastic isn't really worried about that due to the arrangement he has with the government. However, the operatives do not show up alone, as Dr. Octopus slaps power inhibitor collars on both Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman before she's before they can be taken away, however, Invisible Woman calls a Code X7, and Human Torch and the Thing get Valeria and Franklin out of the Baxter building, though the troops operating with the Thunderbolts open fire on the Thing, who, of course, protects his niece and nephew as they make their way to the Fantastic Car. Elsewhere, there's a train derailment, and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage go and, well, they save people. It seems to, the issue seems to imply that the train derailment is due to a fight between Shocker and the new Darkhawk. But Cage beats the hell out of Shocker, and then makes a speech, which gets captured on video by quite a few witnesses, which ends with Cage saying that he's just a New Yorker like everyone else, and if someone's in trouble, he does what New Yorkers do. He helps, and if Mayor Fisk wants to stop him, he's welcome to try. But there's also, the mayor makes a visit to the new Kingpin, his son, who is secretly entertaining Matt Murdock's apparent twin brother, Mike Murdock. Due to the speech that Luke Cage gave, Cage and Jessica Jones, as well as her daughter Danielle, are high priority targets for the Thunderbolts, but they're picked up by Tony Stark, who explains he has a plan to defeat Fisk. He's going to run for mayor. Elsewhere, at the Baxter building, Dr. Octopus is checking out some of an interdimensional gateway he discovered, but Mayor Fisk has had something delivered, which he needs Octavius' help with. That something being someone, actually, the Purple Man. And he explained what happened, and assuming that Purple Man had something to do with why he can't see his file, why he can't read his file, and he apparently beats the hell out of Purple Man. It's implied, however, that it's actually Fisk's children that made Fisk forget. But they appear to potentially have plans to float Wilson Fisk as a presidential candidate, which is where our first chapter ends. Always be careful when putting your bags of boarded comics back into their bags to try to avoid getting the tape on the covers. You can, after all, damage said comics that way. Anyway, we also have Devil's Reign Part 2. So, it starts with Danny Rand being attacked by Thunderbolt squad led by Crossbones. Of course, Danny Rand is no longer a superhero. He no longer has is the bearer of the Iron Fist. So, but sadly, Stark in his flying Lambo can't save him. So, Danny's on his own. Daredevil Elektra goes to talk to Kingpin, and he basically explains that he's got something on her, and she realizes she realizes just the extent of knowledge that Kingpin has when it comes to her, and she goes to take care of something, knowing that if Matt Murdock finds out the secret, she'll lose everything. I'm presuming that this is setting up the Daredevil Woman Without Fear tie-in miniseries. At Avengers Mansion, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Man, and Captain America all meet up, and Miles Morales. And some local kids catch them on video, but Cage asks them to delete the video, which they do. But someone is watching. Also, some of the Thunderbolts have been tasked with taking the staff of the Daily Bugle hostage, as Spider-Man interacts a lot with the Daily Bugle. So probably, if anything, someone on the Bugle staff knows who he is, or he is someone on the Bugle staff. Of course, what they don't know is that the new Spider-Man's currently swinging around town isn't Peter Parker, but rather Ben Reilly, and does not work for the Daily Bugle. But attacking the Bugle are Taskmaster and Whiplash. Meanwhile, we catch up with Mr. Fantastic and Invisible One, who have been imprisoned at the Myrmidon, which was, as I recall, last shown, I believe, during Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America run, as Cap was falsely imprisoned there for the murder of General Ross. But Mr. Fantastic and Invisible One are being held there, and, well, let's just say that Sue is acclimated to prison life rather promptly. But her and Reed end up thrown in solitary. And Dr. Octopus has found a way to allow Fisk to utilize Purple Man's mental powers for further control. The device he's built will be able to coerce people within New York but not control them. All in the hopes that all as part of Fisk's bid for re-election. Also, Doc Ock was smart enough to make sure that he was well protected from Purple Man's influence with special neuroblockers. But not sure why they're showing there's a panel of Kraven, which doesn't make much sense. At Avengers Mansion, the assembled Avengers are discussing Tony's plan, and they pretty much, for the most part, they all agree that Tony shouldn't be the one to be running against Fisk. In fact, they kind of think it should be Luke. And while Stark says that he'll make sure the campaign has all the funding that it needs, it does seem like he's a little stung by the whole thing. At the back of the Bugle, Spider-Man is able to it figures out basically how to make sure that Taskmaster and Whiplash's plan goes to pot by basically goading Whiplash into attacking. But they're still able to get the power dampener collar on Spidey and knock him out of the Bugle building. Ben tries to use a web line to break his fall, but it doesn't work, and dislocates his shoulder and lands on a car. I'm sure he'll be fine. Meanwhile, the interdimensional gateway that Doc Ock discovered in the Baxter Building, he has plans for. Plans which seem to include recruiting interdimensional versions of Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and the Hulk. While he states that his goals are superior to Fisk's. And that is where our issue ends. So far, Devil's Reign has been interesting. I do find it interesting how Marvel and DC managed to do events within a few months of one another that tackle some similar issues but are still wholly different. There was a lot of fear state to the recent Batman Family crossover that would fit actually very well with Devil's Reign. Like, you could have, say, Mayor Oswald Cobblepot using a task force made up of both some supervillains and as well as some some trained operators as the magistrate. But yeah, the similarities are interesting. It's going to be. It's also going to be very interesting just where the whole thing goes. We got some tie-ins starting up. I believe this week. Spider-Woman. I believe this week's the new issue of Spider-Man Woman. I believe is a Devil's Reign tie-in. I think there's supposed to be a Devil's Reign tie-in issue of Moon Knight coming soon. Seeing as how the first issue Moon Knight got arrested. But yeah, should be interesting to see how everything plays out. Anyway, that's to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. Should be having the Beyond report later on this week, as well as a review of the new Scream movie, and over the weekend, our weekly comic book roundup. But this is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.